M&M were two researchers who researched on various aspects of capital structure of a company, such as leverage, cost of equity, value of levered and unlevered firms. Their theorem followed these six assumptions. First being no corporate and or personal tax. Number 2 being business risk was measured by standard deviation. Number 3 being investors have the same expectations about future earnings before interest and taxes. No borrowing cost. Debt being riskless. And lastly, all cash flows are perpetuities. After solving for my cost of equity and my cost of debt, I was able to find the cost of capital. I came to the conclusion that it will remain constant in a non-taxing environment. In the given case, it is a fixed 14%, meaning that as the debt ratio increases, my cost of capital will still remain at 14%. The value of the firm in a non-taxing environment is equal for all debt ratios as well. In the given case, it is at a fixed $3.57 million, meaning that as the debt ratio increases, my value of the firm will remain constant. Upon the assumption that now both firms are subject to a 40% corporate tax, we can presume to repeat our analysis under a slight difference. Considering that now we are dealing with taxes, the MM model focuses on two new propositions. The first proposition states that unlike our first analysis, value of firm U and value of firm L are not the same. The assumption in this case is that debt will increase the value of firm L. The second proposition states that when taxes are involved, the cost of equity will grow at a slower pace. We calculated that our weighted average cost of capital is 11.8%. And as noticed, it is lower when corporate tax is involved compared to when we remove the tax from our analysis. When calculating the gain for leverage using the Miller model, I came up with a value of $245,714. However, when trying to find the value of the levered firm using the MM model, I came up with a value of $400,000. The value of gain, as per the Miller model, was lowered in compared to the MM model as it considers the personal tax involved. The Miller model provides sufficient reasoning that more debt a company has helps them reach their highest value, and therefore it is factual enough to agree that when we include the personal tax, the value of the firm decreases. When using the MM without taxes, financial managers are suggested to ignore the capital structure considering it does not impact the firm's value. When using the MM with corporate tax, financial managers are suggested to use debt financing to receive the most accurate appraisal of their firm's value. When using the Miller model, similarly to the MM with corporate tax, financial managers are suggested to use the debt financing to value their firm most accurately. Firms are expected to follow up the model that provides the best opportunity for their business. While MM with corporate taxes and the Miller model provide the highest value of firms, it has not been noted that the firms are continuously using these guidelines. If the two firms are growing at 7%, we can go ahead and go back to the beginning of the video and say that the assumptions given by the two individuals were false. The first difference is that a growing debt tax is more valuable than a constant debt tax. Secondly, the discount rate for debt tax is the unlevered cost of equity. Firm L's debt can be considered risky if a number of different things take place. For example, if we are to assume that the value of L's operations exceed $2 million, then we can argue that the debt will soon be repaid and the ownership will be retained. However, if we are to assume that the value of L's operations are to fall below the $2 million, then it's fair to say that the debt holders will gain ownership to make up for the loss of funds. If the manager of firm L understands this relationship, he or she might decide to default the payment or pay back the debt depending on the risk they are willing to take with the decreased value of debt and increased value of equity. Debt holders, on the other hand, may begin to increase the required rate of return they desire to make up for their current financial situation. This may also lead to the firm being liquidated to compensate the debt holders.